I don't know what it will feel like to hold my baby.
I did about 3 years of work in my pregnancy. I was on fire, Sam.
Just do it, guys. Just get pregnant, okay? It's easy. Come on. I'm so interested in what like a typical day looks like for you.
I'm at a very specific stage in my businesses and career where it is mostly meetings and delegation. Monday is just back to back. Wednesday and Thursday, I always have a full day and then the other day I work from home and it is full visionary. No one contacts me.
How do you think motherhood has changed entrepreneurship and your relationship to work for you?
I'm going to be very transparent.
You have so many things going on, content, podcast, all the things. How do you do it?
In the last 12 months, I've realized how important it is for me to
Okay, welcome to the show, Georgie. I'm so excited that you're back. The first time that we ever recorded together for RNC was all the way back in January of 2020. I was reflecting on this before we hit record, and that is crazy to think about because we had no idea when we recorded that episode, but it was like a couple weeks away from the whole world shutting down and everyone's lives and, you know, the online landscape changing so much through the pandemic. But yeah, it's just really crazy to think about how much has changed in both of our lives since then. It's been 4 years, so a catch up on the podcast is long overdue. Welcome to the show. My audience already knows you very well. No introduction needed, but you're so welcome here and I can't wait to chat.
Oh, thank you so much. I know it's wild to think about it in that, in that sort of perspective. So much has changed. I feel like I have just loved watching your journey and you continue to thrive and change things up and just kill it. So I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. I know. I was just saying, because I was talking about this last night with my partner, I was saying to Jaime last night, like, wow, like last time we recorded with Georgie, like we were still living in Spain, which we obviously don't live there anymore. We were in our like 1-bedroom apartment. And I remember the first episode that we recorded, it was going to be like at midnight, like our time, because like the time difference between like Europe and Australia. And I just remember I was like, babe, you can't be in the bedroom. Like I need to be able to close the door. Like you need to get out there. So I literally made him sleep on the living room pull-out couch.
Gosh. Oh my God, no, I didn't know that. I did not realize it was midnight. You should have said something.
I think at that time it was just like, you know what? I'm here. I'm happy.
I'm going to make it work.
I'm going to make it work. But you know, like we've all done stuff like that in business before where it's
absolutely. Like, yeah. And also
you just have to say yes.
There's a time and season to do things like that and never be below or like not able to do things like that, because I feel you on that response, like looking back at some of the launches we did or just how scrappy I was, and it was just like that. It's like, I'm going to do this, I want this, and I'm going to get it done. So thanks for sharing that. I love that.
Yeah, I know, that was a fun memory. And I'm sure you and Tim have like funny memories like that as well, just from like the early entrepreneurship days where you're like, babe, do you remember that one time? And you're just like, yes, I do. That was crazy. So funny. I know. Okay, so speaking of relationships, I guess we can just start there. I'm curious how the dynamic has shifted with you and Tim since becoming parents, because that's like a new part of your life since the last time that we talked, and kind of this experience of, I know you shared about this on social a lot, and you know, the societal expectations of working moms and kind of like this dynamic that you guys have of you being a working mom and Tim staying home with Ivy at least a lot when she was really, you know, a lot younger. What has that been like for you guys, and how has it changed things? How do you navigate it? Do you find that you got a lot of opinions about it? What was that like?
Yeah. So yeah, my husband, he stays at home with our 2.5-year-old Ivy, and he still does now. She does go to kindy 2 days now, but that is only more of a recent thing. Honestly, it was a bit wild. We definitely didn't, like, we got, you know, opinions from people, but to be very honest, it was a lot of our own crap that we had to work through, and of a lot of our own beliefs. Even though we both wanted this and picked this, like I remember on my first date with Tim saying to him, I want to be a corporate lawyer. And so if he like jokingly said, so if you want kids, you have to be at the stay-at-home dad, and him being like, yes, I love that, I will absolutely do that. So it was kind of something that we had agreed for a very long time, but when it actually came to it, it was hard. Like, it was hard. It's not actually natural if you think about it from the perspective of naturally, a woman is more maternal. She breastfeeds, she's got the hormones. And obviously a male is very, paternal too. But it was hard because we had to figure out a new schedule, and we had to figure out boundaries, and we had to figure out time for ourselves, and then not be resentful when the other person had time, and what it was going to look like when I got home from work and I went to work and everything. And I think it's like in a different relationship, all those things are kind of already decided. So it feels like you kind of just slip into it. Whereas us, we had to communicate about everything. We had to understand how the other person felt. We had to understand our boundaries. We had to decide. It took a lot more capacity and also just time to get used to it and figure out what was best for our family. And obviously now I'm so grateful because we found our groove, and it's perfect for us, and me and Tim. But yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, well, I think one thing that you said there that really kind of stood out to me was the roles when you're in kind of the more traditional roles of the mom being more of the caretaker of the kids and the husband being more of the provider in terms of working for the familial income. That's been sort of the traditional way that it's happened in society for many years. Obviously, now we're breaking the mold of that, and that's really cool. But when you said it's normally just kind of unspoken, it's just kind of set, it's almost I think it's better that you guys had the roles reversed, because then I feel like women just get kind of pushed into a version of motherhood that is unspoken, and they don't communicate with their partner about hey, I need more time to do this, or when you go do that, I would appreciate if we talked about it beforehand, or whatever. That communication doesn't necessarily always happen because it is this idea that's kind of just set in stone, or it's this societal expectation of what motherhood should look like. But what an amazing new setup you can create when you reverse those roles. And now the man is in the, primary caretaker role during the day. And that breeds a lot more conversations about, hey, how is this working for us? Or this doesn't feel good for me. And it brings all the questions to the surface that we should be questioning anyways, even if, the mother is in the primary caretaker role. So that's probably illuminated a lot for you guys in terms of what you need from each other and how to support each other. And obviously, running businesses at the same time, especially at the degree and the level that you guys are, is a whole other thing to add on top of that.
Absolutely. And I love that you pointed that out, because it was so true. I think, like you said, in the normal traditional sense, it's just the man gets up, he gets himself sorted, and then gets to work. And so, we even were having these conversations of okay, well, if I am getting ready for work, what am I helping you with? When is it okay to just be I've got to get out of here, I've got to go? And really having those conversations that maybe, traditional couples aren't, because it does feel like it's just set in stone, and it does feel like it's just expected. And that would be my advice to any new parents, is don't think anything is expected or assumed, and talk about everything. It honestly saved our relationship.
Yeah, no, that's such good advice. And I honestly wouldn't have thought of it in that way if, you hadn't framed it like that. So I love that. In general, how do you think motherhood has changed entrepreneurship and your relationship to work for you? Obviously, it's a huge responsibility to take on. It shifts your time capacity. It changes a lot with your body and your emotions. And what was the early days kind of compared to where you're at now? What changed for you when you became a mom as an entrepreneur? Primarily asking selfishly for myself, because I know I want to be a mom someday, and that's a big, that's a big question mark when you're an entrepreneur and you work a lot. It's like, how is this going to fit? And then I've had so many conversations with women in my communities and clients and things where they also want to be moms and they're like, but how is it going to work? So I think the more conversations we can have about it, the better. So I'm just curious to know what it was like for you.
I'm going to be very transparent with you, Sam.
I love that.
And
That's what we need.
okay, good. And again, this is my experience. And so I just want to preface, you can have a completely different experience and this doesn't have to be a belief or truth for you. But my experience was I loved being pregnant. I felt so creative and powerful when I was pregnant. Like, I think I did about 3 years of work in my pregnancy. Like, I was on fire, Sam. Like, I've never felt better. So again, I know that's a very unique experience. And I felt like I really flourished and I really like embraced my body and I felt really good. And then when I had Ivy, it honestly was really, really difficult for me because she had colic. And so we had a really tough newborn stage. I would say till she was about 18 months, so a year and a half. And basically for me, it just was this internal conflict of wanting to be in my business because my businesses were my babies, and then having an actual baby and feeling a lot of internal conflict and not knowing how to work through that. I ended up doing identity work and really figuring it out and finding my groove. And that felt really good. I wish I had done that sooner. And I'll teach my students that too. But if I'm being very objective with a business, I believe you do want to be at a stage where you can take a step back, because as much as you can prepare to, and I absolutely worked through my pregnancy and newborn stage and everything, but as much as you can prepare, put it this way, like if you have a newborn who's, not sleeping, colicky, it's going to be harder for you to show up, and you absolutely can. But then the added pressure of, oh, I'm launching, or I've got to get this out, or I've, got to do these calls. It creates, for me personally, it created a really like disharmonious kind of experience, and absolutely got through it, learned so many lessons. But for example, me and Tim are already thinking about our second baby, and I am going to take a bit more time off. I'm going to still be in my businesses, but it be this like very flowy and very like, if I want to launch, I will. If I don't, we're not sort of experience, because it's just so uncertain. A lot comes with it. But I just almost see, like, give yourself from when your baby is born 2 years to just have some flow in your business, have some, like, let's just see where it goes. I feel like as soon as I turned 2, I, like, was back into it, really found my groove. She found her groove, and it felt really good. But I definitely, for our next baby, I just don't want as much pressure. And that's just something I would definitely do differently for this baby, is I still put a lot of pressure on myself. So you can absolutely be the boss babe and run your business. And absolutely, I would just be very careful of like where you're putting pressure on yourself, where you don't have support, and where you might have higher expectations.
Yeah, I was going to
If I'm being real transparent.
Yeah. I think it's like the expectations of, if you're expecting everything to kind of like run as usual, or your performance to be the same as it was before, then you're going to end up being really disappointed. And so just kind of, now you have the experience and you have that preview of like wanting to have there be more flow, or knowing we're going to plan this thing, but it might not, I might decide that I want to pull it or I don't want to do it. And that's okay too. And like setting those expectations from the start to allow yourself some more spaciousness and time. I think we're never ready, but like the more that we can hear people's genuine experiences, the more that you can kind of like mentally, emotionally, spiritually sort of prepare yourselves, but there's nothing that's going to prepare you. Like the baby is the filter, right? Like having the
Yes.
baby is the filter that makes you go, oh, I see things differently now, or oh, the priorities are different, or oh, my time management needs to change, right? And so I think that's true too, of like, you're never going to be like, my business is perfectly set and ready for the baby.
No, and that's the thing is Ivy illuminated so many amazing things that I needed to change my business. Boundaries got so much tighter. I really started picking the bigger things that were actually moving the needle forward. I was just like a lot more picky with what I was saying yes to. And it's hard because I remember listening to a podcast with Jenna Kutcher, and she was saying, I think it was her second baby, she had the same experience. So then she got 8 months, I think, maternity leave, like with her team, and the businesses had fully run without her. But then she had a really easy baby, and she was like, I was so bored. But then, like, after the 8 months, the baby came alive, and I actually wish I took time off, like, after. So
Wow.
you absolutely can't plan. And that's what I mean is like you almost just do it. It's almost like just do it. You'll figure it out. Just lower the expectations and just know it's going to give you exactly what you need to evolve to your next self.
Yeah. Yeah. Just do it, guys. Just get pregnant. Okay.
It's easy.
It's easy. Come on.
Don't come at me after.
You're going to get 2 years of work done in your pregnancy. You'll be fine.
So just like prep, you'll be fine. Oh gosh.
Just prep. You'll be fine. What? Like it's hard? Speaking of things being hard, okay, you are such an incredible businesswoman. You have multiple 7 and 8 figure companies. You've got an app. You have so many things going on, content, podcast, all the things. I'm so interested in what like a typical day looks like for you. And obviously as an entrepreneur myself, I know no day is the same. And who knows, a typical day in the life while you're launching something versus when it's just like kind of a maintenance period is going to be so different. When it's end of financial year, it's all going to change. But I'm just curious, like your work on a day-to-day basis, are you in meetings all day long? Like, are you just at this point kind of like delegating and managing and approving things? Or are you like planning for podcasting? Are you normally always like at the office or the warehouse, or do you work from home a lot? Like how do you manage all of your company's content, podcasting? How do you do it? Teach us.
Great question. So obviously, yes, I'm at a very specific stage in my businesses and career where it is mostly meetings and delegation and visionary. So like probably in the last 12 months, I've realized how important it is for me to be the visionary of the brands and not getting caught up in the brand and working on the brands. And I love my businesses. So I absolutely done every single job in all of my businesses at one time. So I do get a little bit caught up of, being in them, but as, the owner, the founder, the visionary, it is important for me to be the visionary. So what my week looks like is Monday is just back-to-back meetings. I fit in a meeting with Naked Harvest team, like the head of marketing with Naked Harvest. I have a meeting with Cooper, my business partner, and my brother. I have a meeting with Jamie, who's the brand manager of Rise and Conquer. And I have a meeting with my content creator, and admin sort of person. And basically that is just seeing what have we got coming up in the next couple of weeks, what content's going out, maybe we're launching something, what are we prepping for? And in these meetings, everyone comes to me with like, this is what's happening. This is what the team's executing. We need your, vision on these points. We need yeses or nos. And so Mondays is a very hectic day, but I love that because I used to have my meetings scattered all over the week and I was so scattered. So don't do that. Pick like 1 or 2 days and do back-to-back meetings. So, and also my brain knows we're in meeting. No, like I'm not filming anything. I'm not creating content. It's like serious business vibes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you have themed days because that helps so much with like the constant like task switching or like changing from like one energy of like being in delegation and meeting to them being like, let me make a TikTok or something. Like it's so different. So to kind of like
Totally.
streamline that for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. Days is meetings. Tuesdays, I'm generally in the office again, but it's either brainstorming with certain team member. I'm just brainstorming myself. It's kind of like a miscellaneous day, but it's like generally not meetings. It's actually like the doing of things. And then Wednesday is my work from Wednesday and Thursday. I work from home because Ivy goes to kindy. And these days, one, I always have a full day to myself, and that's catching up with friends. I'll go get a massage. It's a complete me day because my whole week I spend with Ivy. So I have a me day during the week. And then the other day, I either work from home or a cafe, and it is full visionary. No one contacts me. I'm either creating new courses, creating new products, creating freebies, anything that's like only I can do, that's what I do. And then Fridays is generally like a catch up day. So it's like I finish, and I also do my email on a Monday, and then I generally don't do my emails until the Friday. So I'm really strict with emails, even not through the week, because I just believe they're like a time suck for me. And obviously I have team members looking over their emails. It's not like people going unanswered. And then, Friday is like a catch up day, a bit of a slower day, but I tick everything and then I get clear for the next week. And then obviously anything like podcasts or anything like that, it will either be like on that Tuesday or Thursday, and I just like put them in.
Yeah, where it fits. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you mentioned the theme days and kind of like organizing yourself so that you're not task switching as much and
Yes.
having a day that's specifically for you. I recently started taking my Fridays as that day of like my personal day that's just for me, nothing on the calendar. Like I'm not, no client messages, not responding to team, just kind of like a day for me. And I found at first it was like really tough for me to not work on that day because I was just so used to it. But it's been a couple months now and I am getting better with it. And I find that it's really helping me. And it's funny how much you can condense into like 4 days when you just sort of like force yourself to. And then it just kind of like fits where it needs to fit. So I love that. Are you a morning routine person? Like when you wake up, is there like non-negotiables or things that you typically do? Or it just like depends on the day? You just go with the flow?
I'm a big morning routine person. And again, I've always been a morning person, but since having Ivy, I try and get my things done before he wakes up. So I'm up at 5 a.m. most mornings, sometimes even earlier, and it's always movement, meditation, and I usually get up early, and I straight away will either do a weights class or Pilates, and then a meditation before I go home to Tim and Ivy. And we all have breakfast together. Very important to have like those family mornings. And then I will get ready. And then on my drive to work is usually like I listen to a podcast or I listen to something like educational, and then I get into work. But most mornings it's a mixture of those things.
You are a 5 a.m. girly. I have so much respect.
I have to be, Sam, honestly. This is the only thing with the baby is like,
but I do feel like you said, you've always kind of been a morning person. I feel like you always like were kind of like, maybe not 5 a.m., but I do feel like you were an early riser. And I have this thing because I've had so many clients in the past that are Australian. I'm like, the sun rises like absurdly early for you guys. I'm like, I think it's just a thing too in Australia that you guys wake up earlier than the rest.
The sun is up by 5:30.
That's insane. When I lived in Spain, the sun didn't come up until 8:30.
Oh my God, no.
It was so
Australians
bad.
are like this because we basically rise with the sun. And for example, when I get up and I go to like my Pilates class, there's so many people out, like you can tell they've already been out for ages. So I'm not even like an early riser here.
I know, crazy. You guys are a different breed. But I love that for you. I do. I love that for you. Okay, any other like wellness things that you love? Like I know you have been sauning. Is there anything else? Any other like wellness
Mm.
girl trends. I feel like, well, over here we're about to like get into like the fall season, and for me, it's Virgo season, and that's kind of like a lot of focus on like health and wellness and like leaning into your goals. So is there anything else? I mean, you own a health supplements brand, so you are a
Yes.
wellness girly.
Yes. So I have a sauna at my house and that has been game changing. I dry brush before my sauna. And I have a sauna about 3 to 4 times a week. So I get a lot of use out of her and I love her. I don't do really cold plunges or anything like that. I get a massage every single week and every single day I'm taking greens and collagen. That's why my hair is like a bit out of control. It's like it's just like thick and it grows so much, but collagen isn't just good for like skin, hair, and nails. It's really good for your digestion. Something I have been kind of playing with lately is like, have you heard of Glucose Goddess?
Yeah.
Love her. I have PCOS, so I'm quite insulin resistant. And I have been really playing with the timings of my food and pairings of food. And it's actually been like I've noticed a difference. And I'm actually going to wear like an insulin machine, like a tracker thing soon and like test it
Yeah, the
out a bit
glucose, the
more.
like, what is it called? The something glucose monitor, constant
Yes.
glucose monitor, whatever it is.
Yes. Yes. So I've been fucking around with that recently and again, very like new to it, but I love these health things. I love biohacking. I love all those sorts of things. But in saying that, like I swear unless you're actually treating like for me, I have PCOS and Hashimoto's, keeping it simple for health is always best.
Yeah, yeah. And you are a very balanced individual as well. Like you obviously, you own the supplements brand. You guys create incredible products without, chemicals or like nasty ingredients in them. You care a lot about health. You do these wellness things, but you also know how to have a good time and a glass of champagne. We know, we know,
Absolutely.
we know our girl loves a glass of champs.
She loves her champagne. 100%. It's like I don't believe we're just put on this earth to be perfect and yeah, to not have any of these pleasures or diets. It's just about understanding its moderation and balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So being the face of this, of Naked Harvest, of the, physical product brand, owning and operating, the warehouse, like managing, I don't even know how many employees it is at this point, but it's a significant size team. Um, for you, like what was the biggest learning curve when kind of going from the more like solopreneur type work as
Mm-hmm.
maybe in like the YouTube creator days and like influencer days to a much more complex, like high level CEO role? What was like that learning curve, or what was maybe the most challenging part of that growth?
Yeah, such a great question. Definitely the delegation and finding people who want to be on the mission. I feel like we have about 30 staff. So I feel like people is honestly the hardest part about growing a business because it's hard. We only are us and we work a certain way and we think a certain way and all those sorts of things. So really, working with other personalities, understanding what drives them, what motivates them, has been probably the biggest journey for me personally. Um, that's what I say. We've put a lot of time and energy into obviously paying like a good salary for good team and being happy to pay for basically what you get, spending a lot of money on HR, team building, those sorts of things, and delegation and knowing when to delegate, what to delegate, and those sort of situations. And then I think like going to the mindset side of things, realizing that you never feel fully ready. Like you've been saying, oh, you've got, 30 staff, you're an 8-figure business owner. I'm like, who, me? I still feel like Georgie just, yeah, creating podcasts in an office and YouTubes. And I still feel like that person. So it's constantly also working on my identity, making sure I'm working on my mindset, making sure I'm breaking down any limiting beliefs, because we know, Sam, it's like, it's the mindset that's going to stop you from getting there. To create an eight-figure company, it's not actually that hard. It's like, you have an amazing product, you figure out how to get it to people, you figure out how to market, you figure out how to do the team. Like, all those things are figure outable. Like, everyone is capable of doing it. It's the mindset to be like, can I keep pushing? Can I keep going? Do I feel worthy of it? And so as much as it's like the physical elements of scaling a business, it's like also just working constantly on my mindset to evolve and grow, to be like, okay, where am I limiting myself? Where am I not acting in accordance with the vision, with the goal, and having a lot of self-responsibility with that, I think has been the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. This reminds me of like, you know how we do like we'll set our like word of the year a lot at the start of the year. Like, I think it was 2023. I set my word of the year to be momentum. And then by the end of the year, I was like, and now I know what momentum feels like. Where it's like, oh, fuck. Like, it's that, I think what you're talking about, obviously on another level though, is like, when you get to that place, it's like the feeling of running downhill, where you're like, you're going so fucking fast that it feels like you might face plant, but at the same time, there's no way you can stop. The only solution is to just figure out how to get your legs to keep going faster. It's like you have to keep catching up with the identity of like, okay, and more and bigger and like, and just kind of like keeping the speed of everything that's growing and happening around you, which is an amazing problem to have, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is challenging. And you get in your head a lot of like, shit, like, am I the person that's supposed to be running this whole operation? Like, everyone is trusting me, and the more staff you bring on, it's like people's salaries, this is their livelihood, their benefits, like how they provide for their families. Like, that's a lot to hold. And, this is a conversation as it relates to the energetics of money too. Like, a lot of people view more money and more success as more responsibility. And that is actually a big reason why they'll find ways to reject it or even just like evade it. Like they feel like they can't find it, but it's because they're operating from this mindset of actually not wanting it. All when you talk about like shadow work, and the root of everything is like, well, why don't you want it? And I think a big reason why people don't want, covertly underneath in the subconscious, why they don't want more money is because it equates in their mind to them as having a lot more responsibility. I experienced this when I was like buying my home. I know that you own 4 properties, so that's a whole, other thing. Like, it can be a lot of feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for so much now. What is your relationship with that been like, of this feeling of like just increasing responsibility as you grow?
100%. I love that you pointed that out. And it's interesting because I truly believe it's like, the saying, new level, new devil. So you thinking, okay, Georgie, has 4 properties. Like, I'm pretty sure our wages in, NH cost over $1 million. So it's like our expenses are so high, our overheads are so high. It's like bigger risk things. In saying that, I know that's like tangibly the truth, but it still feels the same as Georgie, who went and spent $50,000 on a business coach. Like, back then, that was a risk. That was something I had to decide. I had to by myself. I chose to invest in myself. It's that, like, I didn't have those things, but it's like I took that certain, situation, and I feel the exact same now. And so a lot of, like I was saying before, it's like people think, oh, I'll become the business owner, I'll become the millionaire, and I'll feel safe with money. I'll, do this, and then I'll feel like I won't have responsibility. But it's like, it doesn't actually happen like that. You need to keep doing the thing, and then the feeling comes after it. And then you go to a new level and have to do the thing again. And again, so I think the hack here is realizing that the looking at your own shit, looking at, yeah, why don't you want this? What responsibility are you trying to evade? And figuring out that when you're uncomfortable, that truly is you just going to the next level. And if you can hack and hold it, it then feels like, okay, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm secure. But it's always going to feel like that even with the next levels. It's not like you make the $1 million and then you just have no problems ever. And that's like, it's something I teach with money. There's this wild stat that in Australia, 70% of lotto owners, 70%
Winners.
of winners not only lose their lotto earnings, but they go bankrupt within 12 months of winning the lottery.
Yeah.
So I try and explain to people, you don't have a problem with needing more money. You have a problem with holding and feeling safe and feeling secure and embracing being comfortable, embracing the responsibilities and sorting it out because like most people, they're like, oh no, but I need more money. But I'm like, if you have funky beliefs, if you don't take responsibility, if you are scared of having more money, what it will mean, will you have to take care of your family? Will you actually have to talk to a financial advisor? You will never be able to gain more wealth. Or you might, but it's going to be really, really hard. So it's like at every level, doing the work necessary to feel safe and secure, to look at your shadows, to look at your shit. And that's something I truly believe what has made me quite successful is I'm constantly doing that at every level. I don't ever feel like I'm done. I'm constantly looking, I'm going to the next level, and then I'm like, okay, cool, what's next? Especially with identity work, with money work, with shadow work, and all those sorts of things. Sorry, I went off on a rant then.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah. I mean, the lottery winning thing is like such a classic example of, those people aren't energetically prepared to hold that level of wealth. They don't have the mindset for it. They don't have the education for it. They don't have the nervous system capacity for it. And so it's like a hot potato. Like they get it
Like,
and
get
then
rid
they
of it.
find a way to like get rid of it. And so
Yeah.
they buy all the cars and invest in all these things and spend a ton of money and they think it's just going to last forever. And this happens a lot. Like maybe this is more common in the States, but obviously, with American football and things like that, we have a lot of these like young athletes that come into millions and millions of dollars because they're really highly paid once they get into the major leagues. And that's a huge theme for them as well, is like these players, a lot of them are not educated and don't have the mindset or the energetic capacity to hold, this multi-million-dollar contract. And a lot of them come from, not very wealthy upbringings, and then they're injected into this, huge amount of wealth. But your career in sports isn't going to last forever, and so there's then education required around knowing how to be a good steward of money. And I think that's something really important when it comes to the energetics as well. Is like anyone can manifest more money, but like, can you keep it? And you probably see this, like I see this all the time, especially in, the coaching space and knowing so many people that run businesses. Like sometimes I'm really surprised to hear about how, you see the exterior of what's happening for someone's business and it looks like amazing. Oh my gosh, like they're doing so well, they're making so much money. And then you find out, through deeper conversation that behind the scenes, like, whoa, their overhead is like so high, or their profit margins are really not good, or maybe they're even like in the red. And so it's a challenge for a lot of people at many different levels. Like I remember the first time I ever invested in anything personal growth was like this 30-day challenge. It was $50. I thought about it for 3 days. Like it's almost like what you were saying, like the risk that you have to take now to have, $1 million spend on staff is equivalent to the place that you've evolved to. Like the risk is the same. The risk matches who you are and the level that you're at. But in your body, it probably feels the same as the risk of like, oh my gosh, should I spend this $50 or should I invest in this, $10,000 coaching program or whatever? Like as we continue to evolve, so does the level of risk that we are responsible for then taking on if we want to continue to grow. So that feeling is always going to be there, right? It's never going to go away. There's always fear, there's always doubt, there's always risk. And that's just going to grow as you grow.
Exactly. And it's about being like you said, an energetic match. It's about being able to hold it, having the nervous system capacity, and realizing that that is a learned thing, not necessarily I just have it thing. Obviously, if you did come from wealthy parents or like a certain background, they might have an advantage. But if like everyone is just learning this, everyone is figuring it out. So you're not the only one who doesn't know these things, who can't hold the wealth or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just about you being open to learning, to expanding your capacity, and just taking the time.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where everybody on earth wants more money, like why wouldn't you? I think that's pretty standard. No matter what level you're at, you know that you could make more impact with it, or you could donate more, you could do more for your family, or you could, cultivate more generational wealth for your kids and your grandkids and things like that. So no matter what level you're at, like everybody wants more money, duh. But most of us don't want to take the time out of our busy lives and, oh, I'm so stuck in the doing of how things are. But there is a requirement of if you want things to be different, then you have to do something different. That's going to require time. It's probably going to require an investment into someone else's knowledge who's been there, who's done it before you. So really anchoring in and remembering, like, I'm probably going to have to actually make some sort of effort if I want this like new, bigger, richer, more expansive reality. And that's something that, because I think we can talk all day about how we want to manifest more money, which, a lot of people do. And it's like, yeah. And that's probably going to require you to do something different than what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
Okay. So fun and money are two things that we know go together. A lot of us have probably heard the classic affirmation, the more fun I have, the more money I make. I want to talk about this connection between fun and money and how you've seen this show up. Because for me, like, especially when I'm launching something, I'm like, I want to be on vacation, or like, I want to be taking a trip, or like doing something that like feels really amazing for me, because it's crazy how much of an energetic signature you carry when you're having fun in your life. And that's, felt by other people. It's received and amplified by the universe. So in your experience, what has this tie between like fun and money been like?
Yes, I love that. And like an example I give my students with this is, money is just energy. It is responding to your energy. And some people, they struggle to understand that money is energy. And so I say, for example, think of money like a person. They are your friend. And let's say you walk into a room, and we've all done this where we've walked into a party and there is someone there. Maybe it's, a girl, and she's dressed up. She's got her champagne. She's having fun. She's laughing. She's like she's the life of the party. And you gravitate towards her. You want to be around her. You want to ask some questions like, why are you so happy? And all those sorts of things. And that's the same thing with money, is it's just an energy responding to us. So just like we're attracted to high vibe people, to kind hearted people, to, people who have time and attention for you. Money is just the same. So what I kind of say is like, you want to be the life of the party, because those people are just like dancing, vibing a corner, and people come up to them. They attract the people just by being their magnetic selves. And that's the same way that money responds to you, is like when you're having, like, even I think a lot in my own businesses, like for example, obviously I was an influencer and I started off with an audience, but there has been many influencers who have started brands who have not built them to 8 figures, who have not, built what I've built. And I explain it in the way of like, I love my businesses so much. I'm so deeply in love with them. I have so much fun. If you look at Naked Harvest, one of our taglines is like, we make supplements fun. We have like a sour worms flavor. Like we have a mustic flavor. Like we have fun. Like in the back in the day, like supplements were really boring, especially vegan supplements, especially natural supplements. Everyone said they tasted like dirt. So we have a lot of fun, and even with our activations, like we launched a watermelon pre-workout. And so we did a whole music video of me singing Harry Styles' Watermelon Sugar High. And it was for like it made no sense, but it was funny. It was fun. It was low budget. Like it just worked. And that's like, we just do stuff like that and it goes off. Our community loves it. I love it. We're having fun. We're doing what we love. We're so aligned. We're so aligned with our vision. And therefore, we attract community. We're an eight-figure business. And I think, again, you can get to the $1 million or whatever being very calculated and very serious. And you can absolutely do it. Like, I used to be a lawyer. So, like, I've been in the corporate world, and lawyers are earning a lot of money and they're not very fun. They're very serious and it's very stressful. But also, it's probably going to take you 10 times as long. You're probably going to have health conditions. And it's going to be a shitty experience. So I'm like, well, if you can do it in half the time, if you can have fun and you're going to attract the same amount of wealth, if not more, why wouldn't you be a vibrational frequency for, the thing you want? So that's the way I would describe it. And again, that's what we do in my business. How can we have fun with this? And it just works. We also do it in Rise and Conquer, and also within myself of how can I take life not so seriously? How can I have fun with it? That's why I have my midday off, because it's just like, I usually just go out and relax, or I see a girlfriend, or, have a bit of fun with Ivy or whatever. And I have the best business ideas pop in. Like, I have things that just come to me. So that's what I'd say with fun and money.
Yeah, and the spaciousness too of it is like where your creative juices flow. Like you mentioned with your day off. I firmly believe that. It's something that I teach a lot of my clients of, if you're feeling stagnant in your creative ideas, like you've got to get back into your own creative vortex. And creation is, something being birthed out of nothing. So there's got to be some space for nothingness in your life or your routine in order for your channel to, not be blocked by all the podcasts you're listening to, or all the books you're reading, or all the meetings that you're on, or all the things that you're responding to, so that you can actually, receive those downloads and those ideas and that inspiration. So I love that you mentioned that as well, because creativity is the life force of, our businesses as entrepreneurs. And, we have to constantly be innovating and coming up with new ideas. And that's not going to happen if we're just stuck in the weeds or being so serious all the time, or not giving ourselves that space. So I love that.
Yeah. And even if you think of huge brands, if you think of Red Bull, if you look at their Instagram, it's not even photos of the can. It's photos of Red Bull experiences, which is skydiving, all the sorts of things. And so they have created a persona for the brand of just having fun and living life. And that's all they market. And they're obviously an insane and a huge brand. And that's obviously at a mega level, but that is just showing you fun experiences. It attracts a certain vibration. It attracts people. So if we can do it on a micro level in our own lives and in our businesses, you honestly can't get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's so true. When we got to talk about manifestation, because that's, such a, core value that you hold and is part of how you've created and built everything that you have. And it's something that you teach and obviously have a lot of content around. So when you're manifesting things nowadays, I guess I'm just curious, how your experience with manifestation has evolved over the years. Because I know myself, it's definitely changed, and I'm not as rigid anymore with I got to script it out, or I have to listen to the track, or, and sometimes it's actually fun for me to go back to some of those rituals that I used to maybe have to be more regimented with. And then I'm like, oh my God, I remember how cool this is, and how emotional this is making me. I forgot what it's like to do a scripting session. Wow. But it's almost you you become the manifestation in the sense
Mm.
that you're always now, the heart of manifestation, right, is changing your thoughts. And so when you are constantly on that personal growth journey and you've completely changed your perspective of the world and what's possible, and you're constantly auditing your thoughts and changing and upgrading to these higher identities and things, you've now kind of like become the manifestation in a sense. And I feel at least that you don't have to really like effort as much for it, and things just kind of like happen because you're existing in the vibrational frequency of being a match for things. But that's my experience. But I'm really curious, as someone who's also been manifesting for many years and teaches this often, like what that's like for you.
Yeah, well, I feel like you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. Like, I have a program called The Project, and it's like 7 weeks to basically create your own manifesting formula. And so I teach them my 10-step manifesting formula, which I absolutely, I created this program almost 5 years ago. So I would write out the 10 steps and do all the things. But once you live and breathe it, I feel like it comes this beautiful self ritual where you don't need to write up the steps. You don't need to follow it. And again, I think very similar to you, so much of manifestation for me now is the beautiful feminine energy of being and attracting in what I want, not having to use so much force like I previously used to, because you can absolutely do it both ways. And the beautiful element of surrender, which as a previous control freak was really, really hard for me. But I feel like for me, like very simply at my level of how I manifest is getting really clear on the vision, getting clear on the feelings, getting clear on, what it will mean for my energetic state, and then finding rituals or things to do to get me on that energetic state daily. So I do this through my Rise app where I have pep talks, and it might be like a 2-minute pep talk. And again, it's to shift your state. Maybe you woke up and you went on social media and you compared yourself. And I've got a pep talk that's like, stop comparing yourself. And it's literally 2 minutes of me talking to just be like, hey, blah, 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 give them a pep talk, and they should shift our level. And I feel like if you can just, first of all, be clear on what you want, why you want it, and then every single day be finding ways to shift your vibrational state, even that level up, that's manifesting. You're doing it. And so that's really what I work on, not so much like 10-step formula manifesting anymore, but it's like, what am I doing daily that is, getting me on the energetic state, but also helping me get clear on the vision, helping me stay aligned with the values, the feelings. If you think about it, most of us are wanting something because we think we're going to feel a certain way once we get there. And so if you can tap into that feeling now, like you're already halfway there, and also you're giving yourself such a beautiful gift. I actually was doing this meditation the other day because me and Tim are trying for a second baby. And so I was doing like a beautiful like spirit baby meditation, and I had this beautiful like euphoric experience where I was actually holding my second baby, and I could see him and everything like that. And like I was crying, and it felt so real. And I came out of that meditation and I just was like so happy. I felt so clear. I felt so excited, and I felt so like content and joyous. And then like I had the best day, and I just like so many things actually unfolded that day. And so if you can get on the vibration of the things that you want, that is manifestation to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, such a hack. And I think people struggle with, you know, if it's something that they've never experienced before, or something that feels so far away or so foreign, of like, I don't know what it will feel like to hold my baby if you've never had kids, or I don't know what it will feel like to run an 8-figure business if I'm just starting. First of all, you can use like the ladder technique of like bringing it back a little bit, like paring it down and getting to like a feeling that's a couple steps below that, and then gradually like building up to more and more. But also, I'll even tell people, like, just write down the emotions that are in the end result that you expect that you're going to feel. Like, exactly to your point of what you said. We only want things because we think it's going to make us feel a certain way. So just write down the emotions that you're expecting you're going to feel once you get to, you know, having the baby or the 8-figure business or the dream house or the luxury car, or whatever it is. Write down the literal words. If it's like joy, freedom, peace, okay, cool. Maybe you don't know what it feels like to feel the freedom of driving in a Ferrari, but there's other things in life that bring you a sense of freedom. And so you can like pare it back and make sure that you're doing more of those things and putting yourself in more of those situations where you feel, oh my gosh, like this makes me feel free. This makes me feel alive, because that is still a version of getting you to the frequency of what it's going to feel like when you're holding the baby in your arms or driving in the Ferrari or having the business. So yeah, getting on that energetic wave and, you know, shifting your thoughts around it is really all that it is.
Exactly. And yeah, that's what I will do. Like, it's like, we all know what joy feels like. We all know what, you know, freedom, peace, happiness. We have felt them in different aspects. Almost like, don't overcomplicate it. That's definitely what I say to my clients too.
Yeah, so good. Thank you so much, Georgie, for coming on and sharing all of your wisdom, giving us a behind the scenes of what it's like to be this mom, business owner, badass podcaster, doing all of the things. Yeah, we love you. I'm so appreciative of you. Being on your podcast years ago really changed my journey a lot for me. It brought a lot of really incredible women into my community. So I'm forever grateful to you for that. And yeah, it's been so fun to just follow each other's journeys and stay connected all this time. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. And like I said, it's been so beautiful to see you evolve in your journey and to stay connected. So I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah. So you guys, we'll link everything in the show notes for where you can find Georgie. Can you also shout out the Abundance Academy? Because we've had this whole conversation about money, and that might be something that people are interested in, where they can find it. Obviously, we'll link like the Rise app and everything that Georgie's mentioned as well. Naked Harvest for the supplements. You'll find all of that in the show notes. But let us know more about the Abundance Academy and what that's all about and where they can find it.
So if you guys are listening live, we do currently have a money mindset and relationship with money course called the Abundance Academy. And basically, it's just 30 days to creating a beautiful, safe, and secure relationship with money and building a mindset of abundance. So we go through money energetics, we go through limiting beliefs with money, we have timeline therapy, we teach you EFT tapping with money. And basically, I've taught this work because doing money work has changed my life again. If you are someone who has these incredible goals of being a 7-figure, 8-figure, even 6-figure business owner or person who holds that amount of wealth, if you are not, if you don't feel safe in it, and if you don't feel like that's something that you have normalized, you will need to do work to normalize it and for it to feel safe. So not only that you can attract it in, but you can hold it, you can leverage it. And again, I feel like this money really isn't spoken about. It's been such a huge theme in my community. So it's 30 days. It's a really interesting way we're doing it too. So 30 days, we have an audio training unlocking. So you'll get 30 audio training that sometimes they're 5 minutes, sometimes they're 15 minutes. And it's in a private podcast feed. So it's really easy to access. There's a workbook, there's meditations, EFT tapping, timeline therapy, and you will compound on the day before. So we are so excited about it. Sam will put the link in the show notes if you want to come and join us. The doors do close on the 1st of October. So yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, and we do have an early bird discount code that we'll also give to Sam if you guys want to join.
Amazing. Yeah. So we'll link all of that for you guys in the show notes if you're interested. If you guys don't follow Georgie, but I'm sure that you do, go give her a follow. Also follow the Rise and Conquer podcast. You can catch me over there. We're going to do an episode on Georgie's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, take a screenshot, share it to your Instagram stories. Tag us so that we can see it. Message Georgie if you found her through this episode and let her know that you loved it. Or just copy the link and send this episode to a friend if an entrepreneur friend, a manifestation girly, someone who wants to uplevel their money mindset, and just let them know that you were thinking of them. All right, we love you guys, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.